A former casino floor manager just revealed something that could change everything you thought you knew about slot machines. After 12 years working at major properties across Nevada and the Midwest, he walked away from a six-figure salary because he couldn't watch what was happening anymore. What he's about to share comes from internal profit and loss reports that casinos absolutely do not want going public. We're talking about specific machines that have collectively cost the casino industry millions of dollars over the past 2 years. Some are already being quietly removed from major casino floors as you're reading this. The stakes here are simple. If casinos are losing money on certain machines, that means those machines are actually giving players a legitimate advantage. Knowing which games casino executives discuss in closed door meetings about underperformance, that's the kind of insider knowledge that could save you thousands of dollars on your next casino visit. This information comes directly from documented cases at properties. I can't name specifically, but we're talking about major Las Vegas strip locations and regional casino chains throughout the Midwest that are making urgent decisions right now about their slot floor configurations. Machine number one, Lightning Link, specifically the high stakes versions. Now, you've probably walked past these machines hundreds of times. They're everywhere. Bright lights, multiple progressive jackpots climbing on those digital displays, players crowded around them at all hours. But here's what casino management sees that you don't. According to internal performance data from multiple properties, the high denomination versions of Lightning Link, we're talking about the $, $2, and $5 bet configurations. These machines have something casino operators call disproportionate payout volatility. What that means in practical terms is players are hitting multiple jackpot triggers in single sessions far more frequently than the mathematical models predicted they would. There's a documented case from 2024 at a Las Vegas strip property where one player hit three separate progressive features within 90 minutes. Three progressive hits in an hour and a half. The total payout exceeded $42,000 on a machine that the casino's internal projection said should hold approximately 8% of money wagered. Instead, during peak evening hours across a 6-month tracking period, these specific high-denomination Lightning Link machines showed what insiders call negative hold percentages. They weren't making money, they were losing it. The casino's response has been revealing. Some properties are limiting maximum bet configurations. Others are repositioning these machines from high visibility, high traffic areas to less prominent locations on the floor. They can't remove them entirely because player demand is too strong, but they're absolutely trying to reduce exposure to what they now recognize as a liability. Former slot technicians report getting calls from management asking if there's any way to adjust the programming without requiring new gaming commission approvals, which tells you everything about how desperate they are to fix this problem. But if casinos hate Lightning Link, wait until you hear about the next machine because this one has cost them even more. Machine number two, Buffalo Diamond. This isn't just another game in the Buffalo series. This is the evolution that casino executives are calling their monthly nightmare. Let me tell you about Margaret. She's a regular player at a Midwest casino property, been going there twice a month for years, usually plays quarter denomination games. Last April, she decided to try Buffalo Diamond at $3.75 per spin. $47,000. That's what she walked away with on that single session. One bonus round with diamond symbols creating multiplier, combinations that turned a modest bet into a payout that made the slot director physically come to the machine to verify the win was legitimate. Here's what makes Buffalo Diamond particularly problematic for casinos. The diamond symbols on the extra real feature create massive multiplier combinations that the original performance projections simply didn't account for properly. A former slot director stated in a regional gaming conference that they calculated a Buffalo Diamond cost them 3 to 4% more than projected every single month. 3 to 4% might not sound like much until you understand we're talking about machines that process hundreds of thousands of dollars in wagers monthly. The mathematics become brutal. The base return to player percentage combined with bonus trigger frequency creates what industry insiders call player favorable variance windows. Specific time periods where the machine's programmed volatility swings dramatically in favor of whoever's sitting there. Casino floor reports from 2024 show consistent underperformance across multiple jurisdictions. These aren't isolated incidents. This is pattern data showing Buffalo Diamond paying out significantly more than financial models predicted. Why can't casinos just remove them? Player demand. These machines have loyal followings, but floor space allocation is definitely being reduced. Properties that had 12 Buffalo Diamond machines are quietly cutting back to 6 or 8. And speaking of machines that create multiplier nightmares for casino management, machine number 3, Dragon Link, specifically the Panda Magic variant. This particular version has what industry insiders are calling a calculation error that's cost properties serious money. There's a documented situation from December 2024 at an Atlantic City casino where 3 separate players hit the grand progressive within 30 days. 3 grand progressive triggers in 1 month on linked machines that are supposed to hit that top award maybe once or twice per year across the entire linked network. The problem centers on how panda symbols cluster on the reels. Initial programming apparently underestimated the probability of panda symbol clustering, which directly affects how often players trigger the grand progressive feature. A former slot technician revealed they were getting calls weekly from casino management, asking them to verify the mathematical programming was working correctly to check if something was broken, because the performance data just didn't match what was supposed to happen. Properties with Panda Magic installations have been tracking hold percentages 15 to 20% below projections. That's catastrophic in casino economics. IGT has quietly adjusted symbol weighting in newer cabinet versions, but here's what matters to you. Older cabinets are still on casino floors right now with the original programming. You can identify them by checking the cabinet serial, number manufacturing date codes. Anything produced before March 2024 likely still has that original symbol weighting that's been causing casinos so much financial pain. Now, you might think those 3 machines are bad for casino profits, but machine number 4 has cost them even more, and the reason why is something casino executives never expected would become such an expensive problem. Machine number 4, Wheel of Fortune 4D. When IGT introduced the 4D technology, they promised innovation that would revolutionize player engagement. What they actually created was a mechanical synchronization nightmare that's been bleeding casino profits for over a year. The 4D element refers to a physical wheel mechanism that's supposed to sync perfectly with digital random number generator outcomes. Supposed to. Here's what's actually happening on casino floors. The pneumatic wheel mechanism keeps failing to synchronize properly with the RNG results. The wheel stops between segments, creating what gaming regulations classify as mechanical malfunctions. Now, here's the part that makes casino executives want to tear their hair out. Gaming Commission regulations in every jurisdiction require that any mechanical malfunction ambiguity must be resolved in the player's favor, every single time. A Nevada Gaming Commission report from early 2025 documents multiple player complaints about wheels stopping between segments. Every single case was resolved by awarding the player the higher value segment. One casino chain reported $380,000 in malfunction payouts across 45 machines during the fourth quarter of 2024 alone. But the financial hemorrhaging doesn't stop at payouts. Maintenance costs are running an average of $1,200 per machine quarterly. These aren't simple software updates. We're talking about technicians physically servicing pneumatic mechanisms, recalibrating wheel synchronization systems, replacing worn components that were supposed to last years but are failing after months. A slot director stated off the record that they're spending more on maintenance than they're making on these machines. The removal timeline is already in motion. Major properties are planning complete phase-outs by the third quarter of 2026. The only reason some machines remain on floors right now is because IGT is offering financial incentives, lease reductions, anything to keep their flagship innovation from becoming a complete public failure. But mechanical issues aren't the only way machines cost casinos money. Machine number 5, Jinji Bao Shi, specifically the Endless Treasure variant. This Asian-themed game was designed for markets with completely different hold percentage expectations. and that's created a mathematical disaster for American casino operators. Let me tell you about Robert. He's a high limit player who understands probability better than most casino managers. Last November at a Southern California property, he sat down at Jinji Bao C betting $8.88 per spin. That's not a random number. That specific bet amount, those eights, they're considered lucky in Chinese culture. And the game's programming actually recognizes and responds to culturally significant betting patterns. In one night, Robert hit three progressive features. Combined payout was $89,000. Former casino analysts reveal this game consistently performs 8 to 12% below floor average for hold percentage. The pick bonus feature has what mathematicians call player favorable probability curves. The game was designed to appeal to superstitious betting patterns, specific number combinations that players from Asian markets prefer, but those same patterns accidentally create favorable variance for anyone who understands the system. The 5 progressive system triggers more frequently than casino financial models predicted when they signed the licensing agreements. Internal data from 2024 shows this isn't isolated underperformance. This is consistent, predictable losses that casino operators discuss in closed conference panels. There was literally a 2024 casino operations conference panel titled Addressing the Jinji Problem. The elephant in the room that nobody wants to acknowledge publicly is that casinos can't remove these machines without alienating their high-value Asian player demographic. These players specifically seek out Jinji Baoxi. They travel to properties that have these games. Remove the machines and you risk losing an entire customer segment that typically plays at much higher denominations than average slot players. So, casinos are stuck. Estimates suggest major properties are losing $40,000 to $60,000 monthly per machine, compared to what they projected when they installed them. Some properties are reducing the number of machines on their floors, trying to limit exposure while maintaining enough presence to keep those high-value players coming through the doors. And if you think that's costing casinos money, wait until you hear about the licensing nightmare of machine number 6. Machine number 6. Game of Thrones, the aristocrat version. This machine represents everything that can go wrong when entertainment licensing deals meet casino floor economics. The dual problem hitting casino operators is brutal. Sky-high licensing fees combined with underperforming hold percentages. Industry sources reveal per-machine HBO licensing costs ranging from $800 to $1,200 monthly depending on contract terms. That's before the machine earns a single dollar. A Midwest casino chain conducted detailed analysis showing their Game of Thrones machines earning 18% less per day than comparable floor space occupied by non-licensed games. The bonus features were designed for entertainment value and brand loyalty, not profitability. The complex feature sets create enough entertainment that players tolerate losses, but they're not losing enough to meet casino profit margin requirements. The mathematics become impossible. Each machine needs to hold enough money just to cover licensing fees before contributing anything to actual casino profit. Documentation from a 2025 industry report on licensed slot performance shows Game of Thrones consistently ranking in the bottom tier. Multiple casino chains have already confirmed they're not renewing HBO licensing agreements for 2026. 2 major Las Vegas properties have publicly announced removal by second quarter 2026. The industry is shifting away from expensive entertainment licenses and back toward proprietary games where manufacturers aren't paying millions in licensing fees that get passed down to casino operators. Now, licensing costs are one thing, but machine number 7 has a completely different problem that casino operators discuss in private meetings with a mixture of frustration and disbelief. Before we continue, I need to ask a quick favor. If you're finding this information valuable, please hit that subscribe button. This type of insider information takes serious research, and your support helps me keep creating content that casinos definitely don't want you seeing. Machine number 7. Fu Dai Lian Lian, the Panda variant. This is what industry insiders privately call the Panda problem. And it's not about mechanical failures or licensing expenses. This is about accidentally programming player advantages directly into the game's mathematical foundation. The hold and spin feature contains symbol stacking mechanics that create unexpected chain reactions the developers never fully anticipated during testing. Here's what makes this particularly interesting. The panda symbols are weighted in the programming to create near miss scenarios, those almost wins that keep players engaged. Except the weighting accidentally creates actual wins far more frequently than the programmed intent. A Las Vegas property conducted 6 months of tracking from mid 2024 to the end of that year. Their data showed Fu Dai Leon paying out 12% above projected return to player percentage. 12% over 6 months across multiple machines represents massive financial losses. A former programmer revealed the symbol weighting error was discovered after nationwide deployment, after thousands of these machines were already installed and operating across dozens of jurisdictions. The costly fix requires updating programming in every single machine, and each update needs Gaming Commission approval in each separate jurisdiction. Nevada has different approval processes than New Jersey, which differs from tribal gaming commissions, which differs from every other state with casino gaming. The cost and time required to push through all those regulatory approvals makes casino operators ask a brutal question. Is it cheaper to just replace the machines entirely, or continue absorbing underperformance losses while waiting for approvals? Industry estimates suggest this programming error cost casino operators a combined $4 to $6 million in 2024 alone. That's not individual machines. That's the aggregate loss across every property running Food Ili and Leon Panda. Most machines are still operating with original programming right now. Cabinet manufacturing dates before March 2024 almost certainly have the original symbol weighting that's been causing all these problems. Casino response timelines show phased removal planned throughout 2026, but that means right now, in early 2025, these machines are still widely available, still operating with that advantageous programming error. That programming error cost millions. But machine number eight's problem is even more expensive because it's not about a single machine. It's about an entire system architecture that's fundamentally broken. Machine number 8, Scarab, the IGT progressive link system creates cascading payouts that deplete prize pools faster than casinos can fund replenishment. Progressive link systems pool funds across multiple machines. Players at any linked machine contribute small percentages of their wagers into shared jackpot pools. The vulnerability in Scarab's system is that progressive trigger frequency combined with the link architecture creates rapid fund depletion that nobody predicted during implementation. An Oklahoma casino property experienced their progressive pool depleting twice in 1 month during November 2024. Twice. When progressive pools deplete rapidly, casinos must fund immediate replenishment. Gaming regulations require progressive jackpots to be available, which means when pools empty, casino operators pay out of pocket to reload them. Gaming industry financial reports show IGT progressive link systems consistently underperforming projections, and Scarab represents the worst performer in that category. A floor manager stated anonymously that they're essentially pre-funding player wins, paying money into progressive pools knowing players will drain them faster than wager contributions refill them. The mathematical flaw centers on progressive contribution percentages not being properly balanced with trigger frequencies. Properties running 8 to 12 linked Scarab machines report $25,000 to $40,000 quarterly in unexpected progressive funding requirements. Unlike individual machine losses that only affect one revenue stream, progressive system losses impact multiple connected revenue sources simultaneously. Every linked machine becomes a liability. IGT has quietly adjusted progressive contribution rates in newer installations, but existing linked networks continue operating with original programming that's bleeding casino profits. Many properties are evaluating whether continued link participation is worth the losses. The industry trend is moving toward individual standalone, progressives versus linked systems specifically for this title. The removal consideration isn't about one machine performing badly. It's about entire networks of connected machines creating systemic financial problems that multiply across every linked unit. Progressive system problems are complicated, but machine number nine's issue is something else entirely. Something that shows how casino design intentions can backfire spectacularly. Machine number 9, dancing drums, specifically the explosion variant in community pod configuration. Community gaming formats place multiple player positions around shared bonus displays. The design intention was encouraging longer play sessions through social engagement, players feeding off each other's excitement, staying longer, wagering more. What actually happened was community formats accidentally creating player advantage situations nobody anticipated. When bonus triggers affect multiple players simultaneously, payout volatility increases exponentially. A Nevada property experienced their community dancing drums pod, paying out $180,000 in one weekend during February 2025. One weekend. The social factor casino designers thought would increase revenue actually enables player coordination. Players are learning to coordinate betting patterns to maximize collective bonus potential. A former casino host revealed they watched players develop informal strategies to trigger community bonuses more frequently. This is the unexpected player behavior that terrifies casino management. Community format accidentally created cooperative play in what's supposed to be an individual game. Financial data shows community pods consistently underperforming individual machine equivalents by 15 to 20%. A 2024 casino operations conference included a presentation literally titled The Community Gaming Miscalculation. The irony is devastating for casino operators. A feature specifically designed to increase revenue through social engagement is actually decreasing it. Some properties are converting community pods back to individual machine configurations. But beyond payout problems, pods require significantly more floor space per player position than individual machines, making them even less profitable from a real estate perspective. Major casino chains are quietly phasing out community configurations. We're getting to the final four machines, and these next ones represent something even more concerning for casinos than simple financial losses. Machine number 10, Huff and More Puff. This represents something casino executives never wanted to deal with, a skill-based element that actually influences outcomes. When Aristocrat designed this game, they were attempting to blend traditional slot mechanics with interactive player input, creating engagement without affecting house edge. That was the theory. What happened in practice has casino surveillance teams tracking specific players who are consistently beating mathematical projections. The game includes a puff button timing mechanic where players can influence real outcomes through precisely timed inputs. Online gambling communities discovered optimal timing patterns, specific frame perfect button presses that increase bonus trigger rates measurably. We're talking about players sharing detailed timing sequences in forums, Discord channels, strategy videos breaking down exact millisecond inputs. David is an advantage player who specifically seeks out this machine at properties across 3 states. He claims his timing mastery delivers 15 to 20% better outcomes than random play. Casino tracking data suggests he's not exaggerating. One property's surveillance team spent 2 months analyzing skilled player performance on Huff and More Puff. Their data showed players using documented timing strategies achieving 8 to 12% better results than the general player population on the same machines. A former game designer admitted in an industry publication that they underestimated how much skill element influence would affect real-world performance. The game passed initial RNIG certification because the random number generator itself functions correctly, but player input creating variance beyond what regulatory testing captured. While individual player wins aren't catastrophic, consistent underperformance across the entire player base adds up fast. Properties are seeing hold percentages consistently below projections month after month. But the financial impact is almost secondary to the broader concern this machine represents. Casino operators are fundamentally uncomfortable with skilled players gaining legitimate advantages. A director stated anonymously that Huff and More Puff is exactly why the industry remains hesitant about skill-based slot gaming. If knowledge and practice can improve outcomes, even marginally, it breaks the fundamental casino business model, where house edge is mathematically guaranteed regardless of player skill. The removal reasoning isn't about massive losses, it's philosophical. Casino operators don't want games where player skill matters. Huff and More Puff is becoming an industry cautionary tale referenced in game development discussions as proof that skill elements create unacceptable risks. A 2025 gaming industry white paper uses this specific game as a case study in why skill-based mechanics should be avoided. Properties are quietly reducing floor allocation throughout 2025 and 2026, not with dramatic announcements, but through gradual attrition. Machines reaching lease term ends aren't being renewed. This matters because it represents a potential permanent shift away from any skill-based innovation in slot design. Skill-based problems are concerning to casino management, but machine number 11's issue is pure mathematics gone wrong, in a way that shows how legacy games can become modern liabilities. Machine number 11, Timberwolf Deluxe. This aristocrat classic has been around for decades, known for straightforward gameplay and nostalgic appeal. The problem emerged when newer cabinet conversions started showing mathematical discrepancies nobody anticipated. Older game code was ported to modern hardware platforms, a standard industry practice for extending popular game life cycles. The software translation created problems. Legacy random number generation algorithms don't perfectly translate to contemporary operating systems and processors. A former slot technician explained that code conversion unintentionally created player advantages in specific real position frequencies. Certain symbols appear more often than original probability tables intended. A 2024 gaming laboratory analysis identified statistical anomalies in converted versions showing measurable deviations from approved mathematical models. A regional casino chain discovered their Timberwolf Deluxe machines paying 4 to 6% above projected return to player percentages. They found this through routine performance audits, comparing actual results against manufacturer specifications. Patricia is a regular player who mentioned noticing unusually frequent winning sessions on converted Timberwolf machines at her local casino. She didn't understand the technical reasons, just knew something felt different, more favorable. Casino operators face a calculation problem. Older machines need replacement due to age and maintenance costs. The expenses of keeping decades-old hardware running, combined with underperformance losses, make them money losers. But conversion versions also have problems, creating a situation where neither keeping old machines nor converting them to new cabinets makes financial sense. This isn't isolated to one title. Legacy code conversion issues affect multiple older games being ported to modern platforms. Some manufacturers have halted conversions of certain legacy titles entirely after discovering translation problems. Technical solutions require completely rebuilding games from mathematical foundation rather than converting existing code. That development expense versus continued losses becomes the decision point. Players can identify converted versions easily. Newer cabinets manufactured after 2021 running older game titles are almost certainly conversions. These remain widespread across regional and tribal casino properties that can't afford constant floor updates. Properties are choosing removal over addressing conversion problems. Industry estimates suggest legacy conversion issues cost manufacturers and casino operators combined $15 to $20 million annually across all affected titles. The broader question emerging is whether game preservation matters if preserved games lose money. Timeline expectations show significant removal of converted legacy titles throughout 2026, as properties make economic decisions that nostalgia can't overcome. Legacy code problems represent technical nightmares, but the final two machines on this list represent the future of casino concerns. New problems emerging from recent innovations that have casino executives questioning their entire approach to game acquisition and floor management strategies. Machine number 12, Ultimate Firelink, specifically the Cosmic Prizes variant. This game deployed widely in late 2024 and early 2025, representing the newest generation of linked progressive technology. Properties started noticing performance problems within the first 90 days of installation, which is almost unheard of for major manufacturer releases that go through extensive testing before deployment. The technical issue centers on the prize disk feature mechanics and what developers call persistent state programming. Persistent state means the game remembers certain values between different players, maintaining prize disk amounts even after someone cashes out and walks away. Prize values on the disk increase incrementally but don't reset properly under specific conditions, creating what advantage players call vulture opportunities. Knowledgeable players identify machines where prize disk values have accumulated to favorable situations, then specifically target those machines for play. A California property observed players systematically cycling through machines in their ultimate Firelink bank, checking prize disk values displayed on screen before committing money. They weren't playing randomly, they were hunting specific mathematical situations. Casino surveillance teams are being trained to recognize these advantage play patterns, players spending more time observing machines than actually playing them. Early 2025 casino operations forums include multiple discussion threads about the ultimate Firelink problem, managers comparing notes on player behavior they're witnessing. The financial impact extends beyond individual machine losses. Advantage players are systematically targeting vulnerable machines across entire casino floors. Team play situations have been documented, where groups coordinate to monitor multiple machines simultaneously, texting each other when favorable prize disk states develop. One advantage play team was observed working a Nevada property for 3 consecutive days, rotating between ultimate Firelink machines based on prize disk monitoring. They weren't even trying to hide their strategy. Gaming commissions are reviewing persistent state features and their advantage play implications. Regulatory bodies are asking whether games that maintain player advantageous conditions between sessions should require different approval standards. A slot director stated that management never anticipated organized play developing around prize disk value states. They expected individual players making individual decisions, not coordinated teams executing systematic strategies. Cost calculations include direct machine losses plus floor staff time spent monitoring suspicious play patterns, plus potential regulatory compliance expenses if new rules emerge. Bally's, which is Scientific Games, is reportedly fast-tracking software modifications to address prize disk reset issues. But implementation creates its own problems. Software updates require gaming commission approvals across every jurisdiction where machines operate. Nevada approval processes differ from New Jersey, which differs from Pennsylvania, which differs from every tribal gaming commission. Getting coordinated updates approved and installed across thousands of machines takes months even when manufacturers move quickly. Some properties are deciding removal is simpler than continued monitoring and losses. They're pulling Ultimate Firelink entirely rather than dealing with advantage play surveillance and waiting for software fixes. Player behavior evolution is happening in real time. Online communities share machine state identification strategies, teaching newer advantage players what to look for. Casino countermeasures include manually resetting machines during slow periods or temporarily removing units from floors during high advantage play activity windows. The removal timeline shows properties making decisions throughout 2026 based on whether updated software actually solves problems or whether player adaptation continues regardless of modifications. And now for the final machine on this list, the one that represents casinos' biggest fear about where slot gaming is heading. Machine number 13, Blackjack Side Bet City. This scientific games hybrid attempts creating something between slot machines and table games, blending formats in ways that regulatory frameworks weren't designed to handle. The classification problem creates gray areas where games don't fit cleanly into slot or table game categories. The technical structure uses slot-style random number generation for base outcomes but incorporates blackjack decision, elements where player choices influence results beyond RNG control. Casino operators discovered that player decisions create outcomes the original mathematical models didn't properly account for. Players with blackjack strategy knowledge apply that expertise to slot format bonus features. A 2025 gaming analysis showed educated players achieving significantly better outcomes than general populations on the same machines. Properties tracking 60-day performance windows documented hold percentages running 11% below projections. That's not variance. That's consistent underperformance driven by player knowledge. Strategic advantages emerge when players use basic blackjack strategy while simultaneously exploiting slot-style bonus features. A designer interview published in an industry trade magazine included an admission that player strategy impact was underestimated during development testing. The financial breakdown reveals problems beyond simple underperformance. Hybrid. Format requires table game payout percentages to remain competitive with actual blackjack, which means better player odds than typical slots. But these games occupy slot floor space, which represents more expensive casino real estate than table game pits. The mathematical problem becomes unsolvable. Reducing payouts makes the game uncompetitive with real blackjack tables. Maintaining competitive payouts means accepting worse financial performance than surrounding slot machines. Regulatory complications multiply across jurisdictions. Different states classify this game differently, creating compliance complexities that add administrative costs beyond performance losses. A casino executive stated anonymously that Blackjack Side Bet City represents the wrong game for slot floor economics. Floor space analysis shows per square foot revenue running significantly below slot floor averages. Properties are calculating whether that space generates more profit with literally any other machine. Industry implications extend beyond one failed game. Hybrid formats are struggling to find profitable middle ground between slot mechanics and table game elements. Player education factors create advantages that pure slots don't allow. Knowledge and strategy matter in ways that break traditional slot business models. This represents a cautionary tale about innovation failing when it favors players. A 2025 industry conference included multiple presentations using Blackjack Side Bet City as case study material in hybrid game risk analysis. Scientific Games quietly discontinued production, though no official announcement acknowledged why. Properties are removing units as lease agreements expire throughout 2026, letting contracts run out without renewals rather than paying early termination fees. The fundamental question this machine raises concerns the entire future of slot gaming innovation. Casino reluctance to innovate intensifies when innovation consistently creates player advantages rather than increased revenue. Looking back across these 13 machines reveals patterns that casino executives would prefer remained buried in their internal performance reports. The failures cluster into distinct categories that tell us everything about where slot gaming economics are breaking down. Technical and programming errors account for machines like Dragon Link Panda Magic, Fu Dai Leon Leon, and Timberwolf Deluxe. These represent development miscalculations that cost millions because manufacturers pushed deployment sudo ahead of testing thoroughness. When you're racing to get new games on floors across hundreds of properties, the financial pressure to move fast creates situations where mathematical errors slip through validation processes that should catch them. Industry testing protocols are revealing themselves as inadequate for catching problems that only emerge across thousands of real-world player sessions. Player behavior miscalculations explain machines like Jin, G Bao C, Dancing Drums Community Pods, Huff Namor Puff, and Ultimate Firelink. Developers fundamentally underestimated player sophistication. They assumed individual decision-making when players actually coordinate strategies through online communities. They designed social features expecting passive engagement when players developed active cooperative approaches. The information age enables advantage play communities that share knowledge faster than casinos can respond. Business model problems destroyed machines like Wheel of Fortune 4D, Game of Thrones, and Scarab Progressive Links. Licensing costs exceeding performance returns, maintenance expenses consuming revenue, progressive system vulnerabilities creating funding nightmares. These failures happen when financial projections meet reality and reality wins decisively. Design philosophy failures encompass Lightning Link high stakes, Buffalo Diamond, and Blackjack side bet city. Volatility miscalculations, hybrid format, economics that don't work, attempts to balance player engagement with profitability that land on the wrong side of that equation. The overarching lesson emerging from all 13 machines is that casino game innovation increasingly favors players rather than house edge protection. The industry response is a conservative shift back toward proven game designs with minor cosmetic variations rather than genuine mechanical innovation. What this means for players creates a narrow opportunity window. These machines remain on many casino floors right now, today, even as corporate decisions about removal move through approval chains. Strategic approach suggests prioritizing games casinos are actively removing because removal decisions indicate player advantage situations that financial analysis has confirmed. Verification methods matter. Identifying specific variants and cabinet versions with documented issues requires checking manufacturing date codes, comparing symbol layouts against known problematic configurations, recognizing older progressive link systems versus updated installations. Geographic considerations create timing advantages. Smaller regional casinos and tribal properties operate on different replacement cycles than major corporate chains. They're slower to remove problematic machines because capital allocation for new equipment happens less frequently. Tribal casinos particularly operate under separate regulatory timelines that can mean months of additional availability for games that corporate properties have already purged. The advantage play ethics question deserves consideration. There's a difference between strategic machine selection based on documented performance data versus exploiting technical glitches or engaging in team play coordination that some jurisdictions classify as advantage play requiring surveillance response. Documentation approaches help. Tracking personal results on these specific machines over meaningful sample sizes reveals whether theoretical advantages translate to individual outcomes. Bankroll management remains critical because even player-favorable games still operate with house edge over sufficient sample sizes. Variance applies regardless of slight mathematical advantages. Community resources through online forums provide information sharing, but verification matters because not all shared information comes from reliable sources with actual data. The time sensitivity cannot be overstated. Properties are implementing 2026 removal timelines right now. Machines disappearing from floors won't return. Casinos won't advertise removals because drawing attention to games they're eliminating for financial reasons essentially tells players those games offered advantages. Smart player approaches involve rotating between multiple advantageous machines rather than overplaying any single title, which creates surveillance profiles. Casinos flag for monitoring. Industry implications extend far beyond 13 problematic machines. The innovation paradox shows manufacturers that attempts to create new mechanics consistently generate player advantages nobody anticipated during development. Regulatory lag means gaming commissions approve games before long-term performance data reveals problems, creating situations where thousands of machines deploy before issues become apparent. Manufacturer accountability questions arise about testing thoroughness and whether current validation processes adequately protect casino operator interests. The cost of failure includes initial development expenses, plus deployment costs, plus underperformance losses, creating financial hits that discourage future innovation. Industry consolidation toward fewer major manufacturers reduces competitive pressure that historically drove innovation. The conservative trend is unmistakable. Return to proven mechanical foundations with minor thematic variations becomes the safe path when innovation consistently creates expensive mistakes. Technology skepticism grows among casino operators who've absorbed losses from new features that testing didn't adequately validate. Player sophistication growth continues because information age advantages compound. Every new game gets analyzed by communities sharing findings that used to take years to develop, now emerging within weeks of deployment. Casino responses include increased surveillance, enhanced performance monitoring, faster intervention when advantage play patterns emerge. Testing evolution throughout the industry pushes toward longer pre deployment validation periods and larger sample sizes before wide release, but that conflicts with competitive pressures to get new games to market quickly. Financial pressure from casino operators demanding better performance guarantees from manufacturers changes contractual relationships. The licensing model faces existential questions about whether entertainment brand games justify cost, given consistent underperformance data. Skill based gaming's future looks increasingly dim after these failures demonstrate that any player skill influence creates unacceptable risks to house edge protection. Market maturity suggests the slot industry has reached saturation, where innovation becomes inherently risky because every meaningful mechanical change creates potential advantage play vulnerabilities. What these 13 machines reveal about casino economics is that the business model depends on percentage point advantages multiplied across millions of wagers. Individual player experiences vary wildly, but aggregate performance across thousands of players on hundreds of machines makes percentage points matter enormously. The tension between player experience and profitability creates an impossible balance. Games engaging enough to keep players betting need volatility and feature complexity that creates the exact variance vulnerabilities these 13 machines demonstrate. The house edge. Reality remains that even the worst performing casino machines still favor the house over sufficiently large sample sizes. Individual sessions vary, but mathematical certainty operates at scale. This is why casinos care about problems that might seem minor. That 3% underperformance on one machine becomes $3 million across a chain's full installation base. Combined estimated losses from these 13 machines across the entire casino industry likely exceed $100 million over the past 2 years. Player empowerment through information represents exactly what casino operators want to prevent. The knowledge asymmetry where casinos possess performance data that players don't normally access creates the information advantage that content like this disrupts. Responsible gambling reminders matter because knowing which machines casinos dislike doesn't guarantee individual winning sessions. Variance operates regardless of slight house edge advantages. Entertainment value considerations separate, playing for enjoyment from playing for profit. These are different activities with different bankroll approaches and different success metrics. Market correction throughout 2026 represents the industry healing itself, removing problems, adjusting strategies, returning to conservative approaches that protect profit margins. Future predictions suggest machines succeeding will be those with proven mechanical foundations, minimal innovation beyond cosmetic theming, traditional volatility patterns that decades of data validate. Recap the knowledge gained here. 13 specific machines with documented casino problems, ranging from programming errors to business model failures to player advantage vulnerabilities. The action items for your next casino visit include seeking out these specific titles, checking manufacturing dates on cabinets, identifying older installations with original programming. Understanding why casinos are removing them tells you something valuable about where mathematical advantages exist. Urgency reinforcement matters because 2026 removal timelines mean limited windows. These machines won't remain available indefinitely. If you found this information valuable, subscribe for more insider analysis of casino gaming economics. Share in the comments which of these machines you've played and your experiences. Did you notice the performance patterns discussed here? Have you seen any of these games disappearing from your local casino floors? In my next video, I'll reveal the slot machines casinos are adding in 2026 and why they're designed to take your money faster than ever. The new generation of games incorporates everything manufacturers learned from these failures, which means increased house edge protection and reduced player advantage opportunities. Use this information responsibly. The house always maintains mathematical edge, but knowledge gives you the best odds possible in situations where casino economics work against their own interests. Remember what that former floor manager said. When casinos lose money on machines, players have found cracks in the mathematical armor that usually protects casino profits absolutely.